Hello and welcome to the Fit and Free podcast. This is a podcast for women who want it all, to feel strong and confident in their bodies, as well as enjoying a sneaky mug on a Friday night. I'm an exercise physiologist and sports nutritionist, here to teach you how to achieve your body goals without food and your body controlling your life. So let's jump in. Hello you guys and welcome back to another ep of the Fit and Free potty. It feels like it's been such a long time since I sat down and recorded an episode, but it's only been 2 weeks. I just had 1 week off yesterday because so much is going on behind the scenes right now in terms of coming up into the launch of the Fit and Free Academy, which is super exciting. Also, all the things happening behind the scenes in terms of my personal life. If you didn't see on Instagram, we are moving back to Bali in the end of July, which is freaking exciting. But obviously there's a lot that goes on when you are moving countries. I'm so excited about it, don't get me wrong, but there's a part of me that's a little bit afraid of all the things that we have to organise and go through, and like visas, finding somewhere to live again, and all the things that go on with moving. Like, that's already a thing in itself, but then when you're moving to a different country overseas, it's like more intense. So but at the same time, I'm fucking excited about it because it's always such an adventure, and adventure is definitely one of my greatest values. So I always love doing that sort of stuff because it really it fulfills me on such a deeper level. So I want to just jump straight into today's episode because I'm pretty excited about it, because this is something that I absolutely love to talk about. And I also love helping you guys realize that, what you're doing might actually not be in alignment with what you want your body to look like. I see it all the time. I speak to this a lot in terms of people just think they need to lose weight in order to have a toned body. So they eat really low calories and do a lot of exercise. However, they don't look like they lift and they don't look like they work out. And then they're so confused to why. And then they think they need to lower their calories even more and do even more exercise, which completely destroys their relationship with food. Then they start questioning every single little thing they're putting in their mouth. What should I eat? Am I eating too much? Am I overeating? Don't even get me started of what happens to your social life. You no longer can enjoy times with your mates because you're always just fixated on thinking about the calories. You want to avoid family dinners and, because you're so food focused and so fixated on those calories. And deep down, you're so deeply afraid that you don't want to undo your progress. You don't want to lose weight, especially for all the amount of freaking hard work that you put in. And this is really where we're going to go to today in terms of I'm going to speak to the three biggest mistakes that I see people make when they're actually trying to tone up their body. And so this episode is for you if you are wanting to look freaking fit, you want to build muscle, you want to look toned, you want to get lean. However, at the moment, all the things that you're doing is driving you crazy. You're seeing no results, especially for the amount of effort that you were truly putting in. So my girlies who want to have toned glutes, snatched waist, firm lean body, who wants to stop the calorie counting, stop the meal prep containers, stop having these cheat days, and actually see real sustainable change in your body, then this episode is absolutely for you. So let's dive into it. So the first mistake is going to be a bit of an umbrella term, and then I'm going to go into some specifics on how this can play out and why it's a problem. So of course, if you know me by now, you've been listening to me for a while, you'll probably guess the first biggest mistake is going to be you have a poor relationship with food. Because if you have a poor relationship with food, it's going to impact your ability to actually fuel your body correctly with the energy that it needs on a daily basis. So for example, if you were legitimately afraid of carbohydrates because you truly believe they're going to make you gain weight, then of course you're not going to put them into your meals. However, the problem with this is that carbohydrates are essential if you want to tone your body. Why? Because carbohydrates are energy for the body. Literally, it's your body's favorite source of energy. It is the macro that is broken down the easiest. So therefore, if you're not giving your body that energy, then basically what you're saying is that I'm not going to give my body energy today. So this is why so many people have low energy, have sugar cravings, are stuck in binge and stick cycles, is literally because they're not giving their body enough energy on a daily basis, because I see it all the time. People are putting their numbers into DE calculators, they are copying people what I eat in a day videos, and they just think that they need to eat this specific amount of calories. And I see it all the time. It's the 1200 calorie diet, but 1200 calories is not enough food for someone who has the goal, number one, of being toned, aka building muscle, and for someone who is exercising more than 4 times a week and who's so rigid on getting their steps in every day. Like, it's not enough food. Even in a calorie deficit, it's not enough food. So this is where so many people are getting wrong, and it's coming and stemming back from that place of really having an unhealthy relationship with food. So that's one thing, but I want to speak to this in a little bit more layers in terms of, I'm just going to talk about some signs and some mistakes that people make when they have a poor relationship with food that are actually stopping them from reaching their body composition goal as this first umbrella of this big mistake. So signs you have a poor relationship with food is if you're doing things like, if you're going out for a meal in the evening, you will compensate and save your calories during the day. And I get this so much because we see it all over social media, right? There's so many PTs out there saying, if you're going out, save your calories so you can still go out and not go over your calories. But here's the thing. Here's the problem with this. It's like, think about it. If you don't eat all day and then you go out to a restaurant, you're going to be fucking starving. You're going to be so hungry. So what is that then going to do? You're probably going to lose control. You're probably going to eat way more than what you normally would because you're so freaking hungry. And then you're going to feel freaking guilty about it because of all the food that you ate. And like, you know, pair that with like unhealthy food when you go out. It's like a recipe of a double guilt spiral. So of course you're going to feel really freaking shit. And maybe like, what's the first thing that you want to do is maybe you want to add in more exercise the next day, or you want to go restrict yourself again, which is just making that restriction cycle worse. So it's saving the calories if you're going out. But then I want to speak to another mistake that people make here is saving your calories to then binge later, either in the night or on the weekend. So what I see a lot of people do is they either save their calories all day so that they can eat a lot at night and get that feeling of satiety, getting that feeling of fullness so that they can go to bed feeling like satiated. And then, you know, they wake up the next day and they'll have a black coffee and, you know, feel bloated and feel a bit shit from all the food that they ate. And then they'll restrict themselves again. Or it could be like a Monday to Friday, they'll eat really low calories. And then on the weekend, they'll eat a lot because, you know, I have a cheat day or I've been good this week. So I'm going to, you know, eat all the calories on the weekend. But during the week, they eat next to nothing. And so why both of these things are an issue, the saving the calories for the day to eat at night or / on the weekend, is ultimately what you're doing. You're putting your body through periods of under eating. And that in itself is going to stop you from being able to tone up your body. The reason being is, number one, it's actually going to affect your health overall. It's going to interfere with your hormones. It's going to interfere with your digestion. It's going to interfere with your metabolism. This is why like people are losing their menstrual cycles, because they're putting their body through energy dips throughout the day, which is putting your body actually in a state of low energy availability, which of course is not good for your health, and it's also not good for your metabolism at all. So overall, what's happening is your body is getting down-regulated, so you're going to be burning less calories overall. Then we can combine that with energy restriction equals low energy. So you doing this as restricting your food is going to result in you, number one, feeling like ass, feeling like shit, and having no energy. Therefore, what is then that's going to do? That's going to impact your ability to train in the intensity that you need. It's also going to impact your ability to just live your daily life and have energy during the day. So those two things combined, number one, because you're not progressing with your training, that means you're not going to get the body composition changes that you're after, that you're working so hard for, but also you're going to be burning less calories again overall, because you're going to be moving around less without even realizing it, because your energy is shit. Also, you're going to be burning less calories in your training sessions because you're not going to be able to push as hard. So again, overall, from that calorie restriction is impacting your ability to change your body. So people think that restricting is the answer, but restricting is actually moving them further away from their toning goal for all of those reasons. But the other side of it is that in order to tone, you need to build muscle. And in order to build muscle, you need calories. You need to have extra calories to put muscle mass on your body. Like if you want to grow your glutes, then you need to eat for growing your glutes. And so therefore, all of these patterns are actually moving you further away from achieving that goal. Like, think about it. Like, if, restricting yourself and saving your calories was really the answer to getting the body that you wanted, like, wouldn't you have it by now? So how do you break free of all of these cycles? Well, what you really need to do is, number one, you need to learn how to have a healthy relationship with food and overcome all the fears that you have in and around carbs, bad foods, and then most importantly, overcoming that fear of eating enough. Because what you guys have to remember, and I'll say this all the time, is there is a difference between eating too much and actually eating enough. And there's so many people that are so afraid of eating too much because they don't want to gain weight, they don't want to undo their progress, they don't want to go back to where they once were. However, it's this mindset block that is stopping so many people from actually then being able to achieve their toning goal, because they're not able to actually then fuel their body in the way that you really need to in order to build muscle, in order to get lean, and to have that look like you lift weights and that you're fit and toned. Ladies, I just want to interrupt this episode and make a quick little announcement. And as you can tell, I'm so freaking excited. So if you are someone who wants to stay lean without counting calories and actually look like you work out, that you lift, but you have been struggling to see results despite your best efforts of eating under 1,400 calories and exercising daily in an effort to lose weight, keep the weight off, and to be healthy, and you've been consistent for at least 6 months, then you are not alone. So the number one reason why I see people struggling is because they're doing everything to lose weight and not actually to build muscle. So they get so food focused, feel really guilty if they eat too much, avoid social situations, and they always try to burn off or even save their calories. But the thing is that just losing weight will not give you a toned look if you have never taken the time to build any muscle, because muscle is the thing that makes you look lean and toned. This is like saying you want to drive to Melbourne, but you keep following the signs to Sydney. You're completely moving in the wrong direction. So if you want to look like you work out without counting calories, then you need to do these two things. Number one is you need to build a healthy relationship with food and actually learn how to fuel your body correctly in alignment with your toning goals to build muscle. So what this looks like is balancing out your plate with the right macros, eating enough, important enough, and trusting your hunger and fullness cues, and then letting go all those labels that we have around food, like calling things bad. Then, of course, you need to know how to train in a way that's actually going to tone and sculpt your body. Because guys, training every day and cardio, it just ain't it. So when you do this is when you're going to look like you work out, like you lift, you're going to get your glutes, you're going to get a toned body. So do you really want to be focusing all your time and effort on eating next to nothing and avoiding your social life? Or are you ready to actually tone up your body and actually look like you work out? Then the Fit and Free Academy is the place to be. And applications are currently open for the next round that starts in July. This is where you are going to get personalized advice so you know exactly what you need to do to change your body composition, to find complete food freedom in a community that is going to support you on every step of the way. If you want to know more, send me a message saying Margarita and let's chat. The second mistake that I see all the time is not allowing your emotions to dictate your behaviors. And this is coming up time and time again. And I remember I used to have this as well. Like when I really wanted to build muscle, in order to build muscle so I could actually have a toned body, like, you got to eat more than what you normally would because, especially if you're coming from a place of restriction, you're used to eating really low calories, increasing your calories again can be really triggering and it can be scary. That's why I always really recommend support during this time, is because, you have those fears come up of, oh yeah, I don't want to go back to where I was. I don't want to gain that weight that I've already lost. But then at the same time, it's like, it's so important to be able to move through these fears, because otherwise then you're never going to be able to actually build muscle in your body. So one of the biggest mistakes most people see is like, they've come from a life of restriction and then they come to maintenance calories. And because they don't know what maintenance feels like, because they don't really actually know what it feels like to be full, because they're not used to eating this much food, because all they know is under eating, it is frightening for people. They make it, their pants feel a little bit different. They might get a little bit bloated. They might be holding on to more water because it's more carbohydrates when they're used to. They've increasing their carbohydrates, so they've increased their fiber, so therefore their digestion feels different. Maybe they feel a little bit heavier through their digestion, and then they jump to the conclusion that I've gained fat. I'm gaining weight. I'm going backwards. I'm not going to where I want to go. So what do they want to do? They want to go back to restriction. They want to go run back to a calorie deficit, because that's the place where they feel safe and they feel ultimately that they're, quote unquote, happy and reaching their goals. However, when you get stuck in this cycle, what happens is you just end up back in that same place of underfueled, with lack of muscle, and not looking lean, fit, and toned. So this is why it's a really important mistake that we really need to speak to, in terms of not allowing our emotions dictate our nutritional choices. Because if we follow through on our emotions and then just always run back to restriction, then we're never going to be able to fully build any muscle. We're never going to be able to enjoy our social life. Like, we're never going to be able to feel fucking amazing, because we're just going to be under eating again, which is then going to impact our health. So this is a huge one that we really need to speak to, and we really need to normalize, is that how we feel in our body is not actually factual. And this is why it's so important to be measuring your progress with progress photos and not necessarily the scale. It's because if you're not measuring your progress and you're actually seeing the changes that you want physically in your photos, then of course it's really easy to jump back onto the emotional roller coaster and just go back into restriction, because I feel gross, my clothes fit different, so therefore it must mean it's not working. And guys, it probably is working. Number one, you're probably measuring your progress in the wrong way, and you're probably jumping to conclusions that it's not working based on how your body is feeling. But we need to normalize that your body is definitely going to feel different when you're going through this phase. And this really brings me into the last mistake that people make ultimately, and I see this time again, and I used to make this same mistake as well, is you're not giving yourself enough time. You're not giving yourself enough time to change your body composition. Because the thing is that things don't happen in 12 weeks. Things do not happen in 6 months. To really completely change and transform your body, you need at least probably a minimum of a year, and a year of dedication and showing up and, building a resilient mindset and really doing what it takes in order to change from a habitual level. And that's the biggest thing. It's like, people try, and this is what grinds my gears. You see it all over social media, the 12-week challenges, the 8-week challenges, lose all this weight in this amount of time, blah, blah, blah. And of course, so then we are conditioned to seeing quick results. We want a quick result. But the problem is like, if these challenges, these diets, all these things actually work, then like more people would be successful. You probably wouldn't be sitting here listening to this podcast right now. And this is the thing, especially if you want to build muscle, especially if you want to be toned, do you want to look fit, defined, lean, and you're coming from a place of never lifting weights before, like it's going to take time for you to change your body, because building muscle takes time. Building muscle is the hardest part about changing your body composition. It truly is. Like, losing weight can be pretty simple, like stick to your calorie deficit, making sure you got your macros right, training, resistance training, strength training, all the things. Like, fat loss can be pretty simple. Of course, you have to build a resilient mindset and let go of all or nothing thinking. And like, I guess there's a lot of layers to that. Like, let's be honest, for a sex loss. But of course, but building muscle, and the reason I say that is because it takes more time than it does to drop some body fat, to really notice some sustainable change. Like, that's why, like, I'm sitting in a calorie surplus. Like, I've been in it now for 6 months, and I'm probably going to like I did say on my Instagram story yesterday that I'm kind of a bit over it, because I'm just like, don't want to eat anymore. It's such a weird feeling. Anyway, because like the thought of eating like 3,200 calories right now, I'm just like, oh, there's so much food, and I'm just like, don't even want to think about it. But then I think to myself, I looked at my progress photos yesterday and I was like, actually, I'm going to stay here. I'm going to stick to it for a little bit longer, because like I'm really, like my body is changing in such a cool way, in terms of like I'm really, really building some muscle now, which is really cool. But then I'm taking that with like, yeah, it's just going to take time. It's just going to be a timely thing, and it's going to be a consistency piece. And that's what I always look at. And that's what I really always encourage my clients. It's like, we're playing the long-term game now. We're talking about like how we're doing this honestly, like almost for the rest of your life. And that's something that we all really need to realize, is that like, it's more than just aesthetics, it's health, it's longevity, it's vitality, it's all the things. So therefore we have to align our expectations with that. Right? And by being able to shift your mindset in terms of like not needing things happen to be like exactly where I want it to be in a certain amount of time, you can reduce that pressure and realize like everything is absolutely going to work out for me as long as I show up, as long as I'm consistent, as long as have integrity and trust myself and follow through in the things that I say that I'm going to do, then absolutely I'm going to be able to get there. However, if you have some leaky buckets, and you need to fix that shit in order to then be successful. So my loves, I hope this maybe brought something into your awareness that you may be not aware of, in terms of maybe it is your relationship with food. Maybe it is you're not giving yourself time. Maybe you are acting on your emotions instead of utilizing the facts and what's actually going on. I would love to hear from you. Send me a message on IG and tell me your biggest takeaway from the potty. I love having conversations with you guys. It's such a vibe. But until then, thank you for being here. Love you always, and I'll see you in the next episode. The number one challenge that all my clients face before we start working together is a lack of clarity on how much and what to eat to lose weight. Often they are making two huge mistakes: constantly trying to skip meals or eat under 1,600 calories. Secondly, only allowing themselves bad foods like chocolate on the weekend, but end up binging, all to tell themselves they're going to start again on Monday. If you feel like you have tried every diet under the sun and still can't figure out what to eat to achieve your weight loss goals, take my free 2-minute quiz. You can find the link in the show notes down below, and it will help you figure out exactly what you're doing wrong with your nutrition and exercise, and exactly what to do to fix it, so that you can finally be confident in your body and achieve your weight loss goals.